is managing hybrid working models. I would like to invite Rajib Basu, Head of Record to Report and Bill to Cash for GBS India from Bosch. He is a global business services leader with 22 years of experience in setting up and managing shared services. Currently Senior General Manager accounting for Record to Report and Bill to Cash operations at Bosch India. Key member of GBS Group for Bosch, have worked previously with Fortune 500 companies like Agrotech Foods, IBM Accenture, iGate in various domains, FMCG, oil and gas, banking, and automotive. He has experience of leading the complete spectrum of shared services of 400 plus associates, transitions, service delivery, people management, customer delight, passionate about continuous improvement, has led by himself various digitization and automation initiates, including RPA platform-based solution like accountant reconciliation tool and many more. With this, over to you, Rajib sir.
And speak about managing hybrid working model today. It's a very difficult topic, yeah, but I wanted to attempt this. When I got the invitation, so first of all, thank you to UBS Forums for inviting me to Hyderabad. Hyderabad is extremely special for me because I started my career in Hyderabad almost 22 years back. So when I landed in the airport today, I was thinking, you know, what all of the places I had visited, and you know, I was just speaking to my colleagues. So nostalgic, yeah, but very important subject. So we will, I have made some, I would say some topics for discussion, and I would keep this as an interaction. So this is not a format, this is not a principle or a policy, this is more of a discussion. So why we are discussing this hybrid working model? What was the situation during pandemic? Some of the interesting questions which all of us have, I'm sure a lot of you have these questions. Some of the organizational views, so I have spoken to a few of the organizations, I have captured their views as well, and some random interactions with people, and of course, I would end this with my personal view. So, I think we all spoke about, I was hearing the session and pandemic so many times, right? The pandemic has changed and now we have become more digitized. So pandemic definitely has taught us that life is not the same anymore, this is for sure. And 40 to 50% of our daily work time where we are spending in pandemic, you know, we need to really think about how now we can, you know, talk about flexibility, because flexibility has become the bare minimum expectation which all of us has. And this has huge implications for companies or organizations as to how they will set up their companies, their corporate strategy, what kind of cost structures they will be having in future, what kind of culture, policies and practices, and these needs a lot of deliberations. It's not a topic which can be discussed today and we can have a policy tomorrow. And of course, as I said, most organizations are still experimenting with various initiatives. You see in the market every day some news coming from TCS and Infosys of the world, right? So they are already experimenting with this. But is this a new concept? I just wanted to ask all of you, is this something new? Do you think it's a very new concept that we are discussing today? Maybe with a raise of your hands, just want to understand whether you feel the same. Okay, so a couple of you feel it's a new concept. But I personally feel this is not a new concept, because if you look at before the pandemic, various companies were already doing this model, especially in these IT companies, right? And the business models of these companies were not impacted, you know, if people were working from home or from remote. So there were, I would say, this practice, you know, prevalent in some companies, but this was not a standard practice. I think this is the point. So, little bit of a picture about how it looks during the pandemic. Yeah, this is the picture we all love. You know, we working with our pets. We are working with our near and dear ones. We are with our best comfortable attires, right? And what I'm trying to tell you through this picture is that people have got used to this environment. So it's extremely difficult now to say, okay, stop everything and come back to office from tomorrow all 5 days in a week. Now questions all of us have. Now I'm sure you must be having this first question in your mind. Say, is it a sector specific topic? Do you think it's a sector specific topic, that it is only for the IT, ITES or the GBS sector, or is this for all the sectors? So if you look at some of the sectors like healthcare, learning and education, banking, services, my question is, it has adapted, of course, because of the pandemic to a certain extent, but is it a really easy to adapt model which can fit to all these industries, like the Henry Ford model of black car? You can't replicate everywhere, right? So, but if you look at also some of these sectors, let's say the learning sector, yeah. So online, lot of things is happening through online today. Or if you look at the medical sector, I mean, some of the preliminary consultations which the doctors are doing are through video calls, right? Yeah, so we see these factors of the world which are quite prevalent nowadays, yeah. So, but this model probably will be more adaptable, I believe, for the IT, ITS or maybe for the GBS sector. Second is, will the productivity of employees be impacted? I think this is a question which most of the, whenever I'm in some discussions with HR or with some of the senior leaders, I think this question which comes to everybody's mind is, who will ensure 100% productivity if we actually, full-fledged have a hybrid working model? And especially in cases where you need to work with hardwares, right? You need to work with lab equipments. Can you really have such kind of a working model? So these are questions. And then, of course, why Great Resignation happened. I think this Great Resignation is a very buzzword in the market today. So we have a lot of flexibilities which was given in terms of, work from home, work from office, but still the Great Resignation is happening. And of course, will the uncertainties of future more and more, will this also change the hybrid working model more in future? We don't know. And when people can work from anywhere and everywhere, what kind of people policies, people practices, culture, what kind of working environment you really need to have to make the best use? So I think these are few questions. Now, if you're thinking that I have answers to any of these questions, then my answer is no, I really don't have answers to these questions, yeah. And, but I'm sure as a human race, we will definitely adapt to any kind of situation which comes in future. Now, these are few organizational views which I have captured here. One of the most important organizational view, I heard this during the session today, is the technology. And technology is a big enabler, and of course, workforce should adapt more and more and be empowered to work more with this technology if you really want to implement this hybrid working model. See, on the tech front, somebody mentioned India is leading, right? And I'm sure you all agree with me. So India is no more in the incubation stage. India is already in a growth path. So this transition to this hybrid working model will, the technology will definitely enable this more and more in future. A lot of these online meeting tools, I mean, how many of you today, work with these online meeting tools? All of you, right? MS Teams, yeah, Google Meet, Zoom, WebEx. I'm not doing advertising for these online meeting tools, but they are actually today a kind of a game changer for all of us, right? We do a lot of our meetings there, we do our OneNotes there, we have planners there, everything today is inside that. And of course, the other week I was just working with one of these tools and somebody told me, if you want some opinion from some people, you can also have an opinion immediately in the tool, yeah? So this is also, for me, the advancement which has happened in these online tools. The second important part is the associates can work from anywhere. Some of the organizations have implemented a policy, or I would not say a policy, but a kind of a framework or a format where associates can work from anywhere, whether it's a hub location or it is in other cities where there is no hub location, or in some satellite offices where the customers are located. And of course, those workforce can come to office as and when the project requires. So this is the kind of format they have. They also have a kind of a rotational model, a planned rotational model. Yeah, based on the business requirements, the workforce can be invited again to the office. And most importantly, we are only talking about flexibility. So a lot of flexibilities the associates or the workforce is enjoying today, and this is going to stay for a long time. And with flexibility also comes responsibility, right? So it comes to my third point, that associates should comply with the company's cyber security and data privacy. This is extremely important. Somebody spoke about risk, that how data is now become, even though it has become the gold, somebody mentioned is the gold or the, of this century, yeah, but it is also a fact that it is now exposed more and more to everybody. So what kind of data security policies the organization is going to have is something which we need to see in the future. And of course, organizations should also be in a position to predict the quality of service. You see, before 2019, everybody was working from office 5 days a week. From 2019 to 20 or 21, little bit of 22, everybody started working from home 5 days a week. And now we are talking about a combined approach, which is this hybrid working model, right? So which is basically a 180-degree shift. So this is a big shift for all the organizations, for all the employees, and I think this is something which we are all need to work together to understand how to make this happen, because this is something which will happen and we cannot change this. So some of the random interactions, so these are random interactions which I had with people from various aspects or various experience levels in the career, some very freshers, some senior as senior as a CFO of a company, and a few interactions which I have captured here. For example, the first line which says that some of these people are not interested to come to office at all. So they are finding ways and means of making it prominent that they don't want to come to office. They have either gone to their natives or they are comfortable working from where they are. There is no problem with productivity, so they have got used to this, so they would like to avoid coming to office. Some companies are strongly urging the employees to come to office for a few days in a week, which we more prominently call today as hybrid working model. And of course, the most important thing here is, which I got to know from one of the women associates. She is actually a controller with Cisco, and she told me that work independently and working together should be the way forward. So whenever there is a requirement to work together, like you want to create something, you want to build something, then of course you can all come together and do it in office. But when you need to work independently, then you don't need to come to office. I think this is something which was quite interesting, so I've captured it here. And of course, one more topic which came up was emotional connect. Some people felt that emotional connect is missing when you are working from home. So these are views which are quite conflicting. It is not all are in the same line. And some people felt that during pandemic, we were able to manage productivity quite well because of survival instinct, nothing else. So if we have to think of our survival, then we do our best, right? So that's what happened. Of course, my personal view on this subject is that we are experiencing a never seen before disruption in the world of work in the past 2 years, right? We have talked about disruptions, AI, yeah, we are hearing AI all the time, but we have not heard this disruption when now we have to really think of what the workforce is going to demand and what is their expectation more than the work. So a successful hybrid working model is the need of the hour. We have to have a model which balances both the work and the home. And of course, technology is a big enabler here. And especially in cases where with norms to discipline and see that when we are working from home or from any other places, how do we really ensure that we are doing our work in the required format. The last point is very, very important, and one of the reasons is because when I had talked to some of these senior people or the HR folks in these IT companies, they are feeling, or it is their opinion, that one of the reasons why great resignation happened or is happening is because the freshers are also working from home from the day one. And at least for 3 to 6 months, they need to be in office because they need to understand the organization culture, they need to work with those seniors, those leaders understand the experience and get motivated to work and be with those mentors. And finally, government is a very important stakeholder, even though you don't see this as a point here, because you will see slowly there is a, the impact on the infrastructure will become less and less. So people going less to office, right? Obviously will have a favorable impact for the government. And so government also has a responsibility to work along with the various organizations to frame this hybrid working model. And we will see this coming up more and more in future, where the governments will also participate because it is in their interest. So this is all from my side. I don't have too much of explanations, but of course if you have any good thoughts you can share with me, because for me this is something which is very new. It's a model which is evolving. There is no format or policies or practices. Of course every organization have their own HR policies, but nobody can say that okay, this is the way the hybrid working model should work or should not work. But as I said, this is going to stay for many years now, and it's not going to go back to your normal way of working. So with this I would like to finish my discussion, unless any of you have any views you want to share or any questions.
We'll take one quick question. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation, great viewpoints. Just touching on your last point, you said you spoke with a lot of leaders saying that freshers need to come to office for at least for the first couple of months, right? Do you have the counter data for that? What do the freshers think? Do you think that was a factor for them to leave organizations?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I mean, that is not the only reason. Yeah, but when I spoke to some of these senior leaders, they felt that maybe the emotional connect was missing, because generally when you join an organization, yeah, those first 6 months or 3 months, I would rather say make it very simple, 3 months, that foundation is extremely important. The connect with the organization is extremely important. Of course, as I said, this model will evolve to see how virtually you can do that. But as of now, none of the companies really have that kind of a, emotional connect inside a virtual space. So this was some of the opinions which they have opinionated. But of course, if you ask for, as I said, I don't have an answer to all these questions. So we don't have those facts and figures saying so many million people said and so many million people didn't say. Yeah.
Okay. With this, please give him a huge round of applause.
Thank you for your kind